color this man father.
Color him father.
I think I'll color him love.
Color him love.
Said I'm gonna color him
Here we go
father.
again, guys. Podcast, Color Him Dads. It's been a while since we've talked and spoke, and I'm really excited about the guests I have today. Some of you might know him as Willie J. I'm to be honest with you, I remember his father, who was an impact in my life, and so it's really cool to be sitting here with his son, Junior. You know, and so I'm just going to just dive into this conversation. Color Him Dads. He's actually taking a fathering class here that we offer at DADS, and I didn't really know a lot about him like I did his dad, but it's really powerful to know his father and then hear his story. And I'm telling you, he's got a cold-blooded story. Y'all gonna enjoy this one right here. So I'm gonna get really quiet and be a listener, because I'm really enthusiastic about this young man. I know that he has the ability to make an impact in this city, and that's what I look forward to. I look forward to interviewing and being with people who are like myself, want to make an impact in their hometown, Seattle. And we need it. I mean, God knows we need young black men to make an impact in Seattle. And that's just not black men, but it is exciting to know that you got young black men that's making a difference in the city, man. So, Willie J, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're headed that way, right? You're headed that way, bro. And so it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce you guys to Willie Jimerson. Take it away, boss.
Oh man, how do I start? I just want to say El gusto es mío. That is in Spanish. The pleasure is mine. It's all mine, brother. I mean, literally, it's a pleasure to be, next to, history. And when I mean history, I'm talking about a library.
Yeah.
A library.
Yeah.
You have an agency of artifacts that we desperately need. We were just having a conversation earlier before I can even get into introductions, because it's not about me, it's about we. So I'm not really big on, fanning my name and whatever you want to say about me. I appreciate it, but I'll give an introduction. But I just want to say, I know earlier in our conversation, and we'll get into the topics, but I was just detailing about those quality relationships that I was exposed to that kind of, not kind of, but really set the parameter, right? It helped me be able to become who I am today. And I want to say, in relationship, in correlation, a part of me being with the DADS program, that's what attracted me, and still and continuously attracts me to this program, is the quality. It's not that you're just doing something, it's that DADS is actually doing it. There's a difference between doing something and doing it. There's a lot of people out here doing something, and I'm not gonna lie to you, there's a lot of programs and organizations that I feel to some degree, not at their fault, but because of funding strategy, they become a cookie cutter organization, cookie cutter approaches. And I see here there's a level of connection, because the level of authenticity is it's in not only just the organization, but in my exposure to everybody who works here. It's also in every person. That right there means a whole lot. And so I just want to say, that's why I'm here at the table.
That says a whole lot, bro.
Yeah.
That says a whole lot.
I'm just being honest with you.
That says a whole lot. And I'm why that says a whole lot to me is because I know a little bit about your background that you shared with me, right? And you've learned a lot. You've learned a lot. So there's no way possible in the world that anybody could take you for lightly. You know what I'm saying? Because what you've learned comes out every time you open your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't a fake, right? and I'm allergic to fakes. You know what I'm saying, man? I mean, sometimes you just kind of draw what you are to you, right? And so I saw you. I didn't really know what to expect. And then when they told me your name Willie Jimerson, my eyes opened a little bit. I need to just kind of, okay, let me really see. You know what I'm saying? And you're a chip off the old block, right? I knew him well, and I feel like I know you even better. You know what I'm saying? And I just met you. You know what I'm saying? But I watched you. I'm watching you, and I see you taking this thing on. You know, like biscuits and gravy, man. You know what I'm saying? And that to me says a lot. So that's why I asked, could I interview you? Because I think there's some pertinent things that you have to offer our community. You know what I mean? And the community that I speak highly on is the fatherhood community, right? My favorite saying is, a father's job is to prepare his children for a future that he will never see. And I tell you, through your conversation, you got prepared. So preparing somebody ain't gonna be a problem for you. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be a problem for you, man. So listen, I'm excited about it, man. I don't know if you feel comfortable with this, but the story started when you were 13. You can touch on it or not, but I think it's worthy of it, right? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, definitely. It would behoove, me, myself, this platform, not to be able to at least go into some of those contents or those conversations when I've offered them up on different platforms and in different ways to support what we look at analyzing data or moving progress forward, to be able to look at things from a different perspective. So, no, definitely. And just to go into the introduction, I am Will Jimerson, Will R. Jimerson. I am a native of Seattle from the Central District, and I do respond in a way that's, I guess you could say, different, like all of us, when you have the opportunity to sit at the table for a home cooked meal. We like other different cuisines. We can dine on Italian cuisine and Chinese cuisine and Mexican cuisine, for those of us who may not be from that particular ethnic group. But when you get an opportunity to have a home cooked meal, man, it's called soul food. And this is an opportunity to have exactly just that. So I'm definitely appreciative to be with someone who, in many ways, you're from where I'm from, but I also know that your map of life, extends over my map of life, right? So I know that just like GPS, when I put an address in, it's not going to give me the entire existence of the atlas, because I'm going to get confused, because I'm just trying to get around a corner. And that's where your map comes in. You just tear a little piece off and say, I know exactly where you at. I was 44 at one time. I'm going to just help you get around a corner. And I really appreciate that. You're not taking me around the world just to give me where I'm at, but also given the fact that you're from where I'm from, right? I know that I stand in your shadows, right? I know that whatever streets or relationship that I may have with my community, in terms of what I feel like I may have been able to do when I was there, when I speak to my elders, whether it's my uncle and other folks, they remind me, and I'm humbled, and I love to be reminded, and I just want to offer it here in this space that it was a jungle when you showed up.
Yeah, amen.
And so by the time I showed up, it was a smooth pavement. You didn't already did the work, so I know that good. I wouldn't have this path if you wasn't there first. So I'm saying that I really want to let you know I'm thankful for being in this space with you, because oftentimes we don't get the opportunity to really connect with someone who is authentically from these spaces and these places, and be able to reflect that, right?
Man, thank you, my brother. You
I
have no idea, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man.
I appreciate you. Ooh. So, going into some of the aspects of when I was 13, as you know, my father, my mother, they're also, a hybrid, in terms of coming from the South, but growing up here in the Pacific Northwest of Seattle Central District. Like any other community that is on the particular menu, I can say, you know, my community was ravished as well. There was a concentrated attack that happened to my community that also impacted my family. We know that in 1999, there was the unfortunate attack that happened to the Twin Towers in New York, right? Where they were taken down, you know, by whatever means, whatever people's perspective of that you know, that atrocity. But I also want to remind people that the first atrocity that occurred on American soil is not only what happened to our Native sisters and brothers from the First Nation, but also from the concentrated attack that happened to us. When my Twin Towers were brought down in the form of the black man and the black woman by a concentrated attack, it wasn't anthrax, but it was crack, right? It was crack cocaine. It was other different variations. It was other different mechanisms that were put in place, and that created a gap. And it created large gaps in our network, in our ability to support each other. And so in that, when the influx of various, you know, drugs came into our community, programs like this become that much more important, right? In terms of DADS, because I realized that those drugs, especially in the form of crack cocaine, because I grew up in that time frame, it was stronger than motherhood. Mamas forgot to raise their babies. It was stronger than fatherhood.
Yes.
Fathers forgot to raise their children.
Yes, I was one of them.
Absolutely. And so there's been a gap, right? And it was targeted. Because I know that when a person who is healthy and whole, if you give them the option of A, you can have all that you need in terms of your needs being met, living a quality life, or you can choose option B that includes drug usage and losing your child or whatever. They're not going to choose option B. Nobody wants option B. So how do people end up in option B? There are some systemic, you know, conditions and circumstances that push people into option B, even though everybody know, like what's his I'm thinking about what's his Haslow's you know, the lifeline, when people the basic needs that people need, you know, food, water, shelter, and clothing. You know, nobody wants to be absent of these things. And so, even though I had even a strong, like, I guess you could say, anger, disposition towards, you know, when my mother and father fell to some of the woes of the street life, and including drug usage, I understand now as I grew older that there was a level of grace that I also have to provide them. Right? There's because I know that even under the circumstances, they did the best that they could do. Even if it comes to the game life, I'm gonna teach you the game. And people don't understand that game is in all arenas and it's everywhere. Right? It's not just baseball, football, and basketball. It's just understanding rules and regulations and how to, you know, appropriately navigate those things. And so, given that, it created these social gaps. And so, even nowadays, folks who are doing work and want to work with young people who are at risk. There's a difference between at-risk youth and in-risk youth. There's at-risk to me is those who are on the fringes. Like I got a homie, or I might be exposed to certain things, whether it's through visual content or a possibility, or I know somebody who does. But those who are in risk, those are the ones who they're in the cracks and the crevices of the streets. They live in the trap house.
My friend calls that risky behaviors. It start out as risky behaviors, right? And then it develops into the the woes you're talking about right now.
Absolutely. And I would say that to know fault of my parents, because they love me, did their best. My grandparents primarily raised me, but as well, being a young black male, there was a different dosage that society was providing me. So I was responding according to the side effects are exactly what they're supposed to be. Take this dose, and these are the things that are going to happen. These are the things that are going to occur in your life. And so, I had the side effects, and the side effects were I got trapped into the street enterprise. I got caught up in what I refer to, not, you know, some people refer to as gang culture, but that's a Eurocentric ideology we like to, when I say we, those of us with a reformed perspective on it, we like to look at the genius and pull out the positive components of that, and we refer to them as power groups, right? So I got caught up in the power group dynamic, but just only focusing on the negative perspectives. That's why it became a gang, because these are Eurocentric perspectives, right? And they're connected to political jargon, which is political funding. So that's why they be having gang injunctions and gang unit. When they start using gang in a negative terminology, they put it on our community. And then when they want to now attack it through funding strategy, they'll put it in a department and call it gang units and gang injunctions and gang investigators. And all of a sudden, there will be something that will parlay with that. And so I fell into that scheme, right? Into that dynamic. And,
at a young age.
At a young age.
At
a young age, you know. Even though I'm saying I got incarcerated at 13, but before that, I was, you know, my first encounter of incarceration, unfortunately, I was 9 or 10 years of age. You know, but the hardest part is we talk about was when I was 13, and unfortunately, I got caught up and was convicted for a homicide. I was 13 years of age, a couple of weeks into being 13, and I was convicted, and I ended up doing 20 and a half years. So there was a lot that was learned, you know, in that stretch of time from 13 to 33. I'm now 44. So there's a plethora of stories, information, intel, perspective, and one of the things like I say, it boils down to me as far as transformation that really matters is the quality that goes into the relationship or whatever it is that you're building, whatever it is that you're doing. When you give quality to it, it looks different. We know the difference between an iPhone and one that's a bootleg. Right? We know the difference between, you know, the real version of Gucci or the bootleg version of it. You know, we understand it's the quality, and so it's the same thing in relationships, you know, and that's what I've been able to really sustain myself in anybody in life is the quality in the relationship, and that's what I've been able to get from the DADS program as well.
You definitely are a quality young man, and I say that because I have a lot of people walk through these doors, and I find myself having to father most of the people that walk through the door. But what's clear to me is you really have a perspective about fatherhood. I think one of the key points to that is because you had your father in your life, right? And I don't care who you are. I was raised without a father. I had a father a gentleman who played the role of a father, but he didn't have no ability to give me anything, right? I carry his last name, but he had no ability to give me anything. And as most kids who grew up in a setting like that, so I ain't got it. I'll just go get it myself. Well, that's the blind leading the blind. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ain't got it, then you don't really know what it is you need, right? And then you wind up going to find something or someone that you think is giving you what you need, and you figure as long as that's satisfied, you're gonna go with it, right? And then you become 44 years old like I did before I realized that all that I thought I had wasn't it. And now, guess what? On top of that, I'm a father, and now I'm supposed to lead, right? And I don't really have the quality tools to lead with, you know? I was fortunate enough, though, to marry somebody who was raised by a father. And I always say this to people, that females that have a father in their life, when they get married to a man, whatever he put in them is your gift. That's a gift to you. It comes from her father, right? but you got to know how to navigate those waters, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't play and fake like you know everything or knows nothing, and then God has used this opportunity to give you that free gift, you know. And that's what I found. I looked at that, right? I remember one time I was whooping my son. Now this is not a son I had by her. When we met, she had a son, I had a son. I was whooping him, man, because he just wasn't listening, right? And she came to me one day and just looked at me and she said, "You can't keep doing it like this." That was a gift. You feel what I'm saying? And I didn't really snap to it until my son came home and said the CPS came to see me. Now, here's what's crazy. We had just got 4 kids out of the CPS. So my wife freaked out. She was like, they're going to come back and take these kids again, right? So now I got to really pay attention to this, right? Now, God done gave me the gift, but I ain't really listening because I know how this go, right? Well, I only know how this go because where I was raised, that's what they did to me. So I'm passing this journey on, right? And then after she said that, and I thought, okay, I got to redo this. And then I walked by my son's bedroom and he got a rope around his neck trying to hang himself. So that's we got to erase this whiteboard and we got to do something else for it, right? And so I got it the hard way, but I got it. Now I could have ignored it, which most of us do when we caught up in the He-Man syndrome. You know what I'm saying? I believe this, man. Education comes from whoever God plants the seed in to give to you. And in that case, it was her. You feel what I'm saying? And I just had to really pay attention. Now, did I like everything I was hearing? Not actually, but anything was better. I love what you said. Oatmeal better than oatmeal, right? You feel what I'm saying? And I was getting something, right? So I just needed to slow down. And so I tell you, man, I understand that. The importance of a father and for you to have one in your life. Yeah, you got caught up, right? But I tell you, that comes through now more than ever, right? And the fact that you're here doing some fatherhood work says even more louder. You know what I mean? Says it even more louder because I got to tell you, there's a whole lot of people that walk past that door. You know what I mean? In dire need. Know they're in dire need, still walk past the door, right? So man, I'm just excited to. So tell me a little bit about your relationship with your dad. I know you were down, but tell me a little bit about how you stay connected to him.
Yeah, oh man, so much to say about my father, my dad, my best friend. You know, I'm his namesake. I was told by my mother, many who know my story know that my mother was incarcerated in prison when she had me. February 23rd of 1981. My mother was doing, I think she was serving like 3 years on a 5-year sentence or whatever. And so I was born breech, as you can imagine. She was, going through her stress and her trauma and things of that nature, while at the same time holding this child and trying to hold on to this child, because I'm coming on the premises of my older sister, who I never met. She passed away when she was just 1 from a health condition. And so just understanding that dynamic of my mother being concerned not only of herself while she's in that setting, but also of this child, and then this is her child a few years later after losing her child. This was a lot. And so I was wrapped up in the umbilical cord, born breech, and I remember my mom said that her and I almost didn't make it. So I always look at, just knowing that and understanding that I came into this world, we all come into this world struggling, but sometimes it looks a little different for us. And so I'm appreciative of every breath because I know it wasn't promised.
Amen.
I know I could be, there's people who are deformed.
Right.
Because
Right.
they've been wrapped up in the umbilical cord, and especially back then, you don't have the same kind of level of medical
coverage.
Not only just coverage, but just intelligence to know, to do, as far as, and so I bring that up because my mom, she liked the Jackson 5, and her favorite Jackson was Jermaine Jackson. And so she wanted to name me after Jermaine Jackson, but my father was like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. This is my boy. And it's crazy because I wasn't my father's first son. And he had his first marriage. I learned later on in life, as a small child though, but later on in life, his first marriage dissolved, and she moved to Oakland, California, and had their first son, who's in his 50s, my older brother. And so he didn't get the chance to get my father's name. So, but I was that one. My dad was like, he ain't getting away. This is the one that's gonna get my name.
Amen. And
so, my dad was a man's man. You know, and he would get straight to the point, didn't cut the chase, and he didn't change who he was based off the audience. And what I mean by that is even people who may have deemed themselves to be important, whether it's a school official, a police officer, whatever the case may be. One of the things that I can say in the dynamic of my father and what he showed me was to be authentic and be real in every circumstance. Like, he wasn't a dad where we have a real conversation in private, then all of a sudden he'd be at the school and he's acquiescing. He's showing like he's a little boy. I'm like, what kind of dad is that? I've heard people talk about those dynamics, right? But my dad, if he said what he was saying in the car, he's bringing that energy. They hate to see him coming. Like, they hate to see Willie Crawl coming because he's on top of it, right? And he gave that to me. And in that, I can say that we had our issues, obviously, because I'm up against what he's up against, and then I'm up against the dynamics that are being fed to me as a young black male growing up in this American society, telling me these are my options. And he used to tell me, man, you think these are your homies, these are your friends, your real homies, your real friends, your family. You're gonna see when something happens who's gonna really be there for you. He used to always give me this game, like, when you're gonna find out who's really there for you. And when I had to serve that 20 and a half years, his words were they was no truer than ever before.
They came alive.
They came alive. My dad was, and part of me being locked up is what inspired him to clean his life up and got himself together, right? To get himself, he like, man, I done lost too much, and now I'm losing my children.
That's a solid right there, man.
Yeah, it make me want to cry.
That's a solid right there, man.
I remember, damn, I was 15. I'm in show. I ain't new. I'd be there about 6 months. No contact with no you. Every time they come get you, you put your head through a slot. They put cuffs on you, and they have a rope attached to it like you're a dog. And they take you to your shower. And I say this because I think about my father. And I remember it was 96, and he hadn't seen me because I was in IMU, and I didn't want him to see me like that. And he convinced me they wouldn't let me get my business because my mom and my dad had what was a criminal past. They had been convicted. So it didn't matter if there was your family or not. They wanted to prove them to come visit you. So just imagine all that time I had to fight administration, policies, to get an exception just so my dad could come see me.
Wow.
And I remember it was 96. My dad, he got approved. He's like, I'm on my way. I was in Shelton. I'm like, maybe almost, I'm 2.5, maybe 3 hours away from Seattle. And I'm like, Dad, I'm in the hall. I want you to see me like this. And I remember he came, and it was like, they called my name to the visit. And so you gotta stand behind the metal door, put your hands behind there, get cuffed up. And they escorted me to this little room. It's like a little closet, and got a little metal stool coming out the middle of the floor, and it's the visiting room. And it got this thick plexiglass. And I get in there, my dad's already in the little booth. He's on the other side of the thick plexiglass. And I see him there, and he's smiling, but I can see the pain in his eyes. I'm smiling. And I'm standing at the door, and he's like, "Hey," grab the phone, waiting for me to grab it, but I'm bending over, waiting for these people to take my cuffs off. And then one arm come out, the other arm come out, and he's like, "They got you cuffed up?" I said, "Yeah, Daddy, that's I was numb to it. This is, and then, but this is my father looking at his 15-year-old son, and I remember him just being so mad, and he hit the window. He's like, "I can't wait till you to get out there." And I know that that's a difficult thing for any father to have to face. You know, when you lose a child, but then you lose a child in a different way. I know that was a difficult thing for him to have to face.
Wow.
And
I'm so glad you're telling this one, man, because there's some folks that we have that have access but don't have access.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I remember for me, man, I'm doing everything under the sun, and I got access, but I ain't taking advantage of the access, right?
Yeah.
But then it hit me one day. Man, what you doing is what's getting you no access. You know, you getting loaded, doing all kind of stuff. So, man, literally, and you just triggered this thought for me. Man, I left the crack house, my house is the crack house, with my 7-month-old baby. I got on the bus, and my idea was to leave her on the steps of the hospital, man. You feel what I'm saying? Because I know I'm better than this, right? And the only thing that's going to make me better than this is I need to do something about it, right? You know, I can't keep accepting the fact that I ain't being responsible. So I get to the hospital, and now I get a double punch, right? Gut shot. I can't leave my baby on the steps of the hospital. And the reason I can't leave her on the steps, because for the last 7 months, I've been feeding her, changing her diapers and everything. And what I didn't understand, that was God making me connected to her. You know what I mean? I was just trying to run for something, get something covered. So I get to the hospital, I can't do nothing. That ain't working for me, so I go to a woman's shelter. And I sit there, man. They opened the door and let me in. I said, I need to do something. I said, is there anybody here that can help a man who's 40 plus years old with a 7-month-old baby? And they told me, no, ain't nothing you need to take her to the CPS office. Right? That was my option. But I was desperate, man. I was desperate. And so I went to the CPS office, and I got there, and I realized I had 3 kids already there. Please just put her with them. And let me find a way to go do what I need to do. And that's how my journey started. But when I think about your father, who really didn't have a choice, he was just trying to be a choice, you know what I mean, for his child, right? There's a whole lot of cats, man, that don't understand that they got choices and they don't know how to make it. They don't know how to make them choices, man. You feel what I'm saying? So I take my hat off to you, Will. I take my hat off to your father, man, because it's obvious he showed up.
I would say with my father, even in that moment for me, and that's heavy that you shared that as well, man. And it made me think about some things as well about when I think about in that moment with my father, and I'm able to reflect on it, why it triggers certain things about me as well, is because when I see my dad, he was like, man, he was just frustrated. He hit the plexiglass, just seeing his son in here. I also feel my father seeing my humanity in a different way. Like what I mean by this, like he always tell me love me, care, but when you see, like not only coming up here, but I'm really impacted. I really care, and it made me think as a son, like, damn, and I hurt my dad. I never thought I could hurt him like that.
You got his attention, huh? You saw that you got his attention, huh?
And I didn't want it in there.
No.
I wanted it, and so it made me think about when a father sees your potential or sees your humanity is different. And the reason why I say that, because it sets the foundation or the table for you, because your mother, there's always an exception, but for the most part, the way I see it, the father is supposed to see the potential, and the mother nurtures it. Right?
Man, repeat that,
The
man.
father sees the potential, and the mother nurtures it. Right? And my cousin, who also has his father, my great uncle, he would tell me, he said, only a man can take a boy and raise that boy into a man. And when he break down like different qualities and conditions it takes to be a man, and like it ain't how good you can fight or how tough you are, because we see cats and dogs fight, and at the end, you can't become a man. A woman can fight. 2 women can fight. You're not going to be a man at the end result. So fighting doesn't qualify or quantify how tough you are, how much of a man, right? He said you can even see a man in a fight, but he said what you won't see is 2 men fighting. Right? And so he broke it down to me, and he said, and when he started breaking it down further, he was talking about the quality of a man, bringing up a boy into a manhood. He said, it's like taking something hard. He said, you need to have something equivalent to how hard that thing is or harder in order to shape and form it. That's what a man is to a boy. He's hard on him for a reason, because I'm shaping and I'm forming you. You made me think about this when you said your wife came to you about your son.
Yeah.
And he said, but when the form is taking place, and we take it out the fire, we can see that the quality of the material became a sword. What happens? He said, the woman, the wife, she's the cloth that you bring to the sword, right? Where I can form you and make you and shape you, but she's the thing that's going to polish you. He says, so the man can turn you into a man, but the woman, she's going to turn you into a gentleman. So just imagine when think of a scenario where a kid's going to the prom on their 18th prom or whatever, got him suited and booted and got everything together, but right before he exits that door, what mom gonna do? Give him a hug and kiss while she doing that. The same she's tightening up the tie, or she's doing all the extra little thing because he's already, his potential was unnoticed already. But she's nurturing it. She's turning him into a gentleman, but you can't become the gentleman if you have not first become the man, and it takes one. And so when my father gave me a lot of those qualities about it's gonna be your family. I'm gonna be here. And he used to tell me, I'm making sure that you don't have to call anybody else daddy. No matter what I do, as long as you don't have to call another man dad, I'm doing my job, right? And I respect that. And with my father, there were just so many different jewels that he gave me. I remember I was in Maple Lane, and I was like 14, and I thought, I cracked the code. You know what, Dad, you're right. Man, the street life, man, with the gang activity, you're right, that ain't me. Man, I come from this. We're from Seattle, man, we got game about us, we got ism, we got, we're seasoned, we know how to go from Aurora all the way to Canada if we need to do it. We got global game. We can put it on the expressway, the highway. We can do whatever. And so I'm like, Daddy, man, you know what? So I'm getting inspired by the other history that I've been told about the family, the lifestyle, and things of that nature. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm on the phone popping it with my dad, like I done cracked the code. And he told me, he said, you think I went through what I went through so my son can do that? Let me give you the game. I want you to be better than me. I don't want you to be no street dude. I don't need you to be no pimp. I don't need you to be no hustler. He said, I want you to be an entrepreneur. This is the first time I learned the word entrepreneur. I'm 14. He said, go look it up. Go look at it. He said, I want you to be a king of kings, bosses of bosses. And I'm going to teach you one word. And when you learn it, you'll never be broke. You know what that is? What? Hustle. I'm going to teach you how to do it the right way. And these are the dynamics that any boy needs to have.
Oh, my God.
Because only a man can pull that out of him. Right? Because if you can't see his potential, this is what I've learned. if the man doesn't see the potential, then the woman has nothing to nurture. So if the man is missing or the father is missing in the house, this is why it becomes an issue by the time the young man becomes 14, 15, and 16. Nobody's seen his potential early enough, so mom can't nurture nothing.
Right. Wow.
He seemed like he's out of control.
Wow.
Because he hasn't been stabilized in a way where he can say, I've been already identified as such, and this is what I've learned about when I'm now in my studies and things of that nature, when different ethnic groups, even when they come to different groups and classes that we offer, you can look at certain groups. This is what I've learned as well, even in my, doing this work, and it's nobody's fault, but we know where these things derive from or where they come from, but there's different groups that might come together, and when they're in some of the groups, they don't have the AirPods in, they ain't cackling in group or amongst themselves. They might be at attention. Mm-hmm. And I'll ask these guys, like, what are you getting from the group? What are you getting from this? What are you getting from this exercise? Or why, not even like why you're more attentive. Mm-hmm. They already been told that they have something they need to do for their future selves. Mm-hmm. So everything that they're doing is in alignment with that. It needs to, I'm here because my mom or my dad told me I'm trying to get such and such. They're trying to get something out of it. And what I've also learned about our young folks is when they come in even of the same age. They can be 16, 14, 15 years of age. And when I ask them what they're doing here, they're like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. They like me. Nobody told them what they can be.
Yeah.
So when they move, they ain't moving in alignment.
Yeah.
They're moving in the frequency of whatever the energies tell them to pull them into, but they don't know who they are. So there's nothing it's hard to nurture when I don't know who nobody told me. So having the man present creates that. And I'm going back to my grandfather, right? Who gives all the young people in the family a nickname based off of a characteristic or quality that they have. My one cousin, he used to always be up underneath him. Everywhere granddaddy go, he's up underneath him. What do you think his nickname was? Shadow. Right? Because of his quality, and he learned everything. You can't about a car, about alternator, about radiator, whatever it is. He got all the old man game. He younger than me because he was my grandfather's shadow.
Got you.
Right?
Got you.
My other cousin, dude, she young. She was one of the young. She always asking for money and something or whatever. What do you think her nickname? He called her Money. Or the other cousin that's trying to play teacher, put everybody together. That's boss lady, right? I used to play church. What you think my nickname was?
Preacher.
Absolutely. He's seen different qualities. He called those things into existence. He didn't tell me how special I was in that regard. He showed me, because he would tell me, he used to say, man, he'd say to the family or something, like, man, I miss my calling. Even though he knew all these other things and did all these wonderful things, he said, my call, I was supposed to be a preacher. So I didn't realize until I was in my 40s, my grandfather was telling me something about me, about himself as well.
Yeah.
But he called these things into existence, right? So when we used to play, I used to play like that. I remember my auntie. This is when you have wisdom, because the woman has wisdom. My grandmother was in the house. We playing church. It looked like we mocking or playing God, right? And my auntie's trying to scold us. She's into the church. Don't y'all play with God? Y'all don't do that. And my grandmother, with her wisdom, she leaned in and said, well, there was other better way for them to play. Let them play like this. And you want to know what's so crazy? I never even shared this before. This is when I was fighting my case at 13 years of age. I was in a juvenile. There's somebody who probably will watch this podcast who's in a juvenile with me. Dennis Richards and those guys. There's people that was there. They can attest to this. I was in EU, in the E Hall. I would never forget. I was in there playing, acting like I'm giving the word or whatever, right? And I can remember it went from playing for 10 minutes, mocking. Everybody was laughing because we on lockdown for count.
Right.
And it got serious, and tears just started coming through my eyes because whatever it was coming through me. And you didn't hear no more laughter. And by the time I was done coming out of there, them guys were like, boy, you did that. My first preaching audience, as I was behind it, I didn't even know it. I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah,
Because that's what my grandfather told me.
Amen.
He instilled it into me. Now it might show up in doing podcasts.
Yeah,
It might show up in a way of
yeah.
doing motivational work.
Yeah,
It might show up in a way of being, a student and a steward in my faith Islamically. It shows up in all these different ways. But there was something to nurture because my grandfather noticed this.
Amen. Amen.
Right? This man gave me something, and so nothing is more important one way or the other when it comes to male or female in terms of a mother and a father. They both represent
Amen.
a high value level of importance. I don't get caught up in the dynamic of who role is better or anything of that nature, because I know Islamically, when Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, was asked who is the most valued and important person in your life, he said your mother. And then he was then asked again, he said your mother. And then he was then asked again, he said your mother. And the fourth time when he was asked, he said your father, the DADS program. Right? Because the mom, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said when you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you raise a nation. Because the woman nurture the children off of her lap.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
So when you teach a man, come on, man, I even take this one of y'all. I ain't got time for everybody else. Man, we be individuals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just being honest. So the reality is nobody's role is more important. And one of the things I just look at the science, and I know that, we're getting short on time, but I look at the science, it takes 46 chromosomes in order for a human being to be a human. One chromosome off, there's something, I ain't gonna say you're not human, but that's gonna put you, if you're short of chromosomes, something's gonna happen, right? It's gonna throw your dynamic off, but it takes 46 chromosomes, 23 from your mother and 23 from your father.
Wow.
I've learned that woman is nothing but the second expression or the second self of man. So if I'm having an issue in that department, I'm really having an issue with a different version of myself. Right?
That's deep, man. That's
with a different version of myself.
That's deep, man. That's deep. Listen, man, I wanna, because our time is running out, I wanna invite you back to part 2 of this podcast, man. You've come with some really good stuff, and I'm sure we got enough listeners out there that could dissect some of this stuff. Because I always believed, as my mother used to tell me, eat the meat, spit out the bones. So in other words, take what works for you and leave the rest, right? And I think we have enough of a listening audience till everybody can dice this up and take what works for them and what don't. But what I'm really empowered by is the role that the two males played in your life, your grandfather and your father. You know what I mean? And the family,
my other
period.
grandfather too. I mean, not just I'm just so my uncles as well.
Yeah. And so I'm excited, and I really do want you to come back so we can hear some more of your story, bro. You know what I mean? Because the journey that you went on and came back from, the average individual might have been touched by the time you came back. You know what I'm saying? And I admire the stamina that you've been able to go through and walk on that journey and come back and then be able to share some of that stuff with us. I just love the audience that we have here, man, because nobody is I've heard no crazy stories. You know what I'm saying? If I've heard anything, the crazy thing I heard is we haven't done enough of them. You know what I mean? And so I want to be able to do. I want to thank my nephew Irie, who runs the podcast for us, man. He's I'm gonna have to get his story one time. They know he does it, they just ain't never seen him and who he is, right? And he's gonna surprise the hell out of a whole lot of people, man. But again, man, I want to thank you for showing up at our podcast, Color Him Dads. It's based on a song that came out in the 70s called Color Him Father, right? It's a powerful song if you get a chance to listen to it. But I just wanted to be connected to that song and connected to dads in the podcast. And again, man, I appreciate you being here with us. Like I told you, Will's part of our team here. He takes a class, and I'm just really thrilled for you coming to spend this kind of time with me, my brother. Okay.
Man, thank you.
Yep,
I
yep,
appreciate
yep,
you,
yep,
man.
yep,
I appreciate
yep.
you.
And likewise, man.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
And I just want to, I know you just ended it, but I just want to say, like, even being a part of like the street culture, and I tell people all the time, like we've been a part of all kind of hoods.
Amen.
There's different hoods,
Amen.
right? There's
Amen.
just whatever hood you can think of. But
Yeah.
I tell people there's nothing more stronger than fatherhood.
Amen.
It's the best hood for us to
Amen.
claim.
Amen.
And I'm
Amen.
definitely thank you for the invite, the invitation, and the initiation, because I also wanted I wanted to say this. I wanted to make this part clear though with the DADS program, is that it's not a post-fathering program. I realize that there's so many different tools and resources and things that if I would have just knew this stuff years before, I'm saying if anybody who is in a relationship where reproduction is a possibility,
Yep.
or bringing a child into that relationship
Amen.
is a possibility, they should take the DADS program. The core values that are here. There's so many things that I realized that I was missing in terms of my ingredients. I thought I had the recipe completed, but we're living and we're learning, right?
Amen.
And I just like, man, this is information that can go into young people's head. This is a value information if I was 14, 15, 16 years of age, because I was going to be a father.
Amen.
And
Amen.
so this is information that prepares you for that journey, and lets you know it's a lifelong journey. So we as men, when we get angry or get upset or life happens or whatever, this is what I've learned that's so very valuable from this program, is don't get caught up in the moment. It's a journey. It's a journey, man. It's a movement. It's not a moment.
Hey man, here's what's crazy. I'm so glad you shared that, because coming from you, it's way more believable than coming from me. See what I'm saying? People will think I'm patting myself on the back when I said that, but hearing it from somebody who's been having the experience is powerful, man, and I appreciate you. And that's what most of the guys who come through our doors tell us, man. You know what I mean? The relationships they have with their children is on steroids now, man. And that's because nobody saw enough. And I only mean I saw it because I was in the midst of it. I was in the thick of it. But nobody really just saw that. So I appreciate you so much, man. I appreciate you. And again, we're going to have you back on this thing, man. So don't be surprised, okay?
Looking forward to it.
All right, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, well, listen, to our listening audience, man, we want to thank you for just being here with DADS. And my name is Marvin Charles. I'm the CEO of DADS, Divine Alternative for Dad Services, and we are glad that you are part of our community. Thank you very much.